Good to see you. So the way we do this, as always, like my shows during the week, normally I'm on Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern on my other Twitch account, Aravosis Report Daily, also on TikTok and YouTube and Discord and everything else. But the way we do this is I start summarizing the news for you guys, and then I take your guys' questions. Could do it throughout. If I see the questions, I can do it throughout. Otherwise, we'll do it right afterwards. So let me get rolling. So today is day 471 of Vladimir Putin's 3-day special military operation in Ukraine. The big news of the week, obviously, two big topics: the counteroffensive and the dam breaking in Kakhovka. Let's start with the dam because that happened earlier in time. The dam broke on Tuesday, early Tuesday morning. The counteroffensive, depending how you count it, it began Wednesday night. Again, kind of depends how you count it. Thank you, Jens, for that. So Tuesday, June 6th at approximately 2:55 a.m. Ukraine time, the Kakhovka Dam in southern Ukraine burst, flooding the entire region. Both sides of the river were flooded, the Ukrainian and the Russian occupied sides, putting 40,000 Ukrainians at immediate risk, but also cutting off water to a couple 100,000 Ukrainians. The river, this is the river, the Dnipro River, cutting all through Ukraine. The dam is around here. So therefore, under normal times, it would restrict the amount of water down here and it would build water up here. Nuclear plant is up here, so it's using the water when it was built up. Down here, lots of people. So they blow the dam here. This area floods. I would say, I don't think it's around, maybe 2/3 of the flooding is in the south where the Russians are controlling. 1/3 of the flooding is in the north where the Ukrainians are. In terms of blame, I mean, obviously, we all think it was the Russians, but there's growing evidence that it was the Russians, which is interesting. New York Times interviewed engineers and munitions experts, in other words, weapons, explosive experts, who said that in looking at it, the most likely explanation is a deliberate explosive set inside the dam. They said it was very unlikely that this happened just on its own, very unlikely that it was, neglect or the dam falling apart, this kind of thing, because typically, if it were the dam falling apart, whether it's because of pressure or the water or whatever, you would typically see the dam break on the outside, like the dam goes across, right? The outside ends of the dam. In this case, it was more towards the middle, Russian-controlled area, mind you, and that was suggestive to the experts. They concluded it was a bomb. It was a deliberately set bomb, and it was set inside the dams to cause the maximum damage. Now, 1 week before the dam burst, the Russian government published a decree banning authorities from investigating accidents at hydrotechnical structures in the occupied territories of Ukraine, including dams. Interesting. Norwegian seismometers picked up a signal this week consistent with an explosion in the area of the dam at 2:55 a.m. Eastern Time U.S. Eastern Time Ukraine, which is when the dam exploded. Then the New York Times reported yesterday that U.S. satellites picked up an explosion on the dam right before the dam crumbled. So all of this making very clear. And Ukraine released audio of a Russian soldier telling someone on a telephone that a Russian sabotage did the bombing. And what was interesting, and this actually makes a lot of sense, because I've been saying, one quick second here, I've been saying that the explosion was confusing to me. It felt to me like it was a mistake. Now, the mistake by the Russians. What I meant by this was I kept saying, I feel like they mined the dam. They set a bomb and they intended it to go off later. Like once the Ukrainians, basically, keep in mind, right? Russia, as I always show you, Russian occupied territory, Ukrainian control north of the river, Russian control south of the river. Most of the flooding south of the river, some north. It struck me. I said, I thought the Russians put a bomb in there and they were planning to blow the bomb once the Ukrainians either came in from the side or came in from the north and took back the land here, because then you'd have it full of Ukrainian troops. The Russians blow the dam, and what happens? It floods and kills all the Ukrainian troops, or at the very least traps their equipment, this kind of stuff. This telephone conversation that the Ukrainians released, purportedly of a Russian soldier talking to somebody else, saying it was a Russian sabotage group that blew up the dam. What he says is they made a mistake. It was intended to be a small explosion. They were ordered to do a small explosion that would cause some damage and freak out the Ukrainians, but it wasn't intended to blow everything up because they didn't want to flood their own troops. And of course, Russians being Russians, the explosion was too strong. They screwed up and they blew up the entire dam. To me, that's interesting, as I said, because for me at least, this story didn't make sense, right? Ukraine clearly suffers if the dam blows. It hurts. The farmlands around there are in serious trouble now for a long time coming. Even if Ukraine gets the land back, really major water supply for Ukraine, some of its major farmlands. Um, these are Ukrainian citizens north and south of the river that are getting flooded out, killed. 100,000 other, hundreds of thousands of other Ukrainians aren't getting water. That's not something Ukraine. Also, Ukraine doesn't want to have to deal with this. Ukraine wants to be focusing on the counteroffensive. They don't want to have to be focusing on a humanitarian disaster that now Zelensky has to focus on. The troops, by the way, they have to have soldiers rescue people when those soldiers should be fighting Russians elsewhere. So that didn't make sense. And the benefit for the Ukrainians, I don't see the benefit, right? Then you see the Russians. So you go, I can see the benefit for the Russians. For example, by blowing the dam here, they flooded this area. By flooding this area, it guarantees for now that Ukraine is not going to attack across the area. If you know Ukraine's not going to attack across the area, it means you can take your troops that were going to be here and put them more over here where you're afraid Ukraine will attack, right? So Russia, there's lots of reasons why Russia would do that. And as I said, distract Zelensky, make him and the troops have to focus on search and rescue rather than fighting the Russians. But Russia also had troops there. I saw a photo this morning of some dead Russian troops that were drowned and they died. Russia had troops there too. Now, Putin doesn't care about his troops. That is true. But still, you'd think maybe he would do something to minimize the deaths. He doesn't care if they die. The only reason Putin cares if the Russian troops die is he wants to win the war, and he's going to have a better chance of winning the war if he's got more troops than fewer troops, right? So on both sides, it didn't quite make sense. This makes sense, which is we knew it benefits Russia more than Ukraine, but it seems like it went a little overboard in terms of killing Russians too. What do you know? And they could have killed more Ukrainians if Ukrainian troops, by the way, had they waited until Ukraine had swept through the area and taken it back and then blown the dam. This explanation by the Russian on the phone saying that they blew the dam, by accident, because they were going to blow it, but they wanted to do a small explosion, not a large explosion, makes perfect sense. So I would not be surprised. And by the way, the other thing, I was seeing some talk yesterday or this morning about this by some of the defense experts saying, some people are saying, could the Russians really be so stupid that they're still using cell phones? Because the cell phones are operating on the local Ukrainian telecom network, right? The local Ukrainian cell phone network. And the Ukrainians just simply listen in. And the expert said, oh, yeah. They talked to one of the senior Ukrainian intelligence people and said, the Russians can't be so stupid that with all the warnings they've gotten that the troops are still using their cell phones on the Ukrainian cell phone network to talk about classified stuff. And the Ukrainian head said, they do it all the time. So there's good reason to believe this is real because the Russians have been this stupid. We have been fundraising, by the way. We did 2 fundraisers this week. One to benefit the search and rescue of the human beings, and we raised several $1,000s, bought 2 dinghies, 2 inflatable boats, 1 outboard motor for a boat, and a water pump, and it was several $1,000s right there. And we are now raising, in the last day, we decided we could raise money for the animals as well. Vlad, my friend in Ukraine, knows a number of animal welfare groups. So we've been raising money for them. Our initial goal was $1,100. In the last day, we raised $1,415 as of this morning. And we're still raising money for the animals. So if you want to help us with the animal stuff, let me pull this up. Actually, I can put it I always forget this. I can put it in the chat for you guys. Vlad is collecting the money directly in Ukraine. My colleague there that does all the humanitarian work and the military work with us. This is Vlad's PayPal in the comments. Just go to PayPal and send the money. But 100% of it is going to relief. In this case, right now, the money we've got coming in. But again, if you send later, it may go for the humans too. Right now, as of the last day, we've been sending the money to the animal rescue folks. Basically, there's a lot of pets that were abandoned. Understandably, there's a disaster. A lot of animals, people might not be home and the animals at home. And they've been going through and rescuing, he said, at least 100 or a couple hundred pets a day. They've got 50 to 100 volunteers of all the different groups there from as far away as Kharkiv, pet rescue folks all the way up here, animal welfare folks through there, welfare folks from Lviv, all coming down here to Kherson and saving pets. I put a number of really cool videos up, or sad videos, really, but good videos because they saved them, of them saving animals. I've got them up on my Discord, so you can check them out there. But if you want to help out, feel free to. We're going to be collecting money for several days. Right now, the money's going to the animals. In a couple of days, we might switch back to humans. So if you wait a couple of days, in other words, if you see the video later and it could go for humans instead. But either way, help out if you can. The aftermath. So the aftermath of the attack. Russians are shooting at survivors. We know that they've been bombing the survivors. Classic. Dead Russian soldiers have been found, as I mentioned. Now, that is not necessarily proof that the Russians didn't do it, because Putin, Putin's happy to kill the soldiers if he needs to. He wouldn't give a second thought to the fact that his own soldiers would die. And frankly, he'd love to use it as cover that he didn't do it. Look, my own soldiers died. Of course, I didn't blow up the dam, right? So that means nothing. Water is low at the Zaporizhia nuclear plant as a result of the dam breaking. Zaporizhia's right up here at the bend in the river, right at the tip here. That's, upriver from the dam. The dam's around here. That's upriver from the dam. So the dam breaking lowered the water levels very dangerously near the nuclear plant. The experts have said so far the plant is fine. It can go several months on the water it's got. So it's because it uses water, of course, to cool the plant, because these are nuclear fuel rods, and the fuel rods, without the water cooling them, overheat, they explode, they melt down, right? Nuclear meltdown. Bad news. It's fine for now, should be fine for at least several months. So right now, no one's freaking out. But of course, it will matter in the next few months what happens to finally get the water replaced. And finally, impact on the counteroffensive. Interestingly, I'd mentioned that because the water flooded the area, there would not be an attack from the north there, because it's too far to get over the river. Already dangerous to come over the river, but even more dangerous with the river being wider, because then you're on the river longer. The concern with the military is you're on the river, you're in the open. It's not like you're under trees, you're not hiding, you're not camouflaged. You're literally in the open on a boat or whatever you're on. Maybe depending how wide the river is, could they set up some kind of some kind of bridge? But again, if they set up a bridge, the bridge could be attacked and blown when they're on it, which the Ukrainians did to the Russians before. So the counteroffensive will certainly not happen in this area anytime soon, because the Russians flooded it. Some of the defense experts are saying that doesn't really change anything, because the Ukrainians wouldn't have attacked there anyway. That going over the river right now is too dangerous. They would go elsewhere. So that may not make a difference. What I think, again, because if the Russians blew this up too soon or blew it up bigger than they planned, the thought would have been to blow it up after the Ukrainians invaded, really. After the Ukrainians took the land, because then you drown the Ukrainians. What this does do effectively for the Russians is it distracts Zelensky and his staff in the military. Zelensky is now coordinating response to a huge humanitarian disaster in Ukraine. The military is now having to coordinate search and rescue of a huge humanitarian disaster. That takes military supplies, men, time, effort, Zelensky's staff, coordinating meetings, phone calls, right? All the stuff you don't want to be doing when there's a counteroffensive, because you want to be focusing the men and the women and the phone calls and the strategizing and the top staff like Zelensky on the counteroffensive, not now having to spend time worrying about the disaster. So it does help Russia in that way. Then we get to the counteroffensive. So Wednesday night or so, it finally became evident that the counteroffensive was actually happening. There was certainly reports from the Russians a few days before that there were suspicious movements around certain towns. Some of the towns I'm actually going to mention to you. So it looks like the Russians correctly identified some of the cities the Ukrainians were going after. It is still thought. We were talking to one of the former U.S. military guys this morning, Sam, who's in our Discord, and he's over there right now. He said they still believe that these are probing operations, basically that Ukraine is testing the Russians. In other words, they're attacking a couple different areas. It's not the full thrust of their military, but they're testing the Russians, seeing how they respond, how strong are the Russian defensives. Are the Russians themselves freaking out? Are they caving in some areas and running like they did in Kharkiv last fall? And then based on that, they may decide, first of all, they may do more probing attacks, but they may decide later where to actually do a big invasion. For example, if one of those attacks, the Russians just crumble, the Ukrainians may decide, let's send in more men, right? Because the idea is you've got this long line, it's like 1,200 kilometers long, I believe, the Russian defense lines, 800 miles long, and you're trying to find areas you can get across the most safely. So that basically, if you're able to cause the Russians to crumble in one spot, you come through that spot, and now you're not getting killed and blown up nearly as much as you would in another spot of the defense. In other words, you're trying to find a weak link in the wall, right? And if you find the weak spot and it crumbles, you pour everybody through that weak spot, and you don't have to go through anywhere else. In principle, that's the idea. Um, Three main areas the Ukrainians seem to be attacking at this point. One is Bakhmut up here. Bakhmut's that city that the Russians were trying to get for 11 months. They finally captured it a couple weeks ago. Not quite clear why they wanted it. Strategically, not that important. Um, and the Russians lost, NATO experts estimate at least 100,000 men, but casualties, meaning death and injury, maybe a third death, taking this town, which was just stupid of the Russians. Ukrainians continue to put up a fight around Bakhmut and are getting back some land. They're still north and south of the city, but they claimed around 1,200 meters of land yesterday, which is about 3,600 feet, maybe 2/3 of a mile. That doesn't sound like much, but it's a big deal when you consider that that's the amount of land the Russians claimed in like a month. With their fight, the Ukrainians got it in a day. So Bakhmut's interesting. Two other areas that most of the Ukrainian thrust is at right now. One is Velika Novosilka, which is about 40% of the way between Donetsk and Zaporizhia. That is around here. Okay, tip of my toothpick around here is the one. Keep in mind again, Russian control is all of the, including Crimea, is all of this. So that's right on the front, of course, between the Russians and the Ukrainians. And the other spot the Ukrainians are fighting at right now is Orikhiv, which is 30% of the way between Zaporizhia, the town of Zaporizhia, and Berdyansk. Town of Zaporizhia here, Berdyansk here. So more or less, I was putting it over here. So it's more or less around here, actually. More or less around here is the big attack right now. Now, that's interesting because if you're Ukraine, and this is not news, I mean, all the military experts agree on this, one of the big goals early on will be to try to capture all the land to the sea and cut the Russian occupation in half, right? Russia's occupation is all of this. Ukraine comes in, boom, takes this back. It now makes it easier for Ukraine to attack south or southwest to attack northeast, right? To go after the other two spots. And it makes it hard because Russia here loses its land connection to Russia over here, right? Here they've got to go across a bridge, not as efficient. Here they've got a land connection, you cut it in half. So big deal for Ukraine to come here. That also means the Russians know this, and the most significant Russian defenses are in that area. So that's where the Russians, they have lots of defenses everywhere, but they really doubled and tripled up their defenses in that area because it's the most important to them. That means it's going to be hard for the Ukrainians to fight in that area. The Ukrainians are going to suffer more casualties. They're going to suffer more lost equipment. So it's an interesting trade-off because at the same time, though, if you're Russia, you think the Ukrainians would be stupid to attack this spot first because it's so dangerous. So you might also think, we need a map emoji. I know I have to see if I can come up with one. Or maybe a globe or something. You might think that this is a spot that the Ukrainians are going to hold off on because it's too risky to go at right away. So maybe that's part of the element of surprise, because Ukrainians are very good at surprising us with what they're and surprising the Russians. Maybe that's where they're going after it. Or again, maybe it's just a probe. Maybe it's a feint. Maybe they're trying to freak out the Russians and think, oh my God, they're coming for the main area. Russia moves more troops there and the Ukrainians attack somewhere else. I wouldn't be surprised if they still find a way of crossing the damn river, because Ukraine is so good at surprising us with doing things that we didn't expect and right, pretending like they're attacking here and they really attack here. So let's see, but I would not necessarily assume that these three places they're attacking now are the big places they're going after. Maybe, again, they're tricky in a good way. The Ukrainians are very tricky. Ukraine did lose a few Leopard tanks and Bradley fighting vehicles this week. Russia shared some video of some of the losses. They shared two videos. One video is real, the other's fake. The fake video, it was grainy and hard to read. Russia claimed this video proves we killed, 8 Leopard tanks, the big German tanks they got from Germany, the good tanks. And the Associated Press had some experts look at it. And the experts looked at it and said, that's not a tank. That's two farm combines, the vehicles that they use for whatever, picking up the wheat and all this kind of stuff, and one tractor. So the Russians blew up a bunch of farm equipment and claimed it was tanks, classic Russia, and put out the video, hoping the video was so bad nobody could tell. They could tell. The other thing, though, is they did, I don't want to say destroy, they did damage some Leopard tanks and some Bradley fighting vehicles. There's a second video that came out that shows more clearly that the crews were able, the Ukrainian men, soldiers were able to get out of the vehicles and get to safety. Unlike the Russian troops, where as many as 50% of the Russians are getting killed when their vehicles get damaged like this. The Ukrainians that are using much better vehicles, they're not using Soviet era like this. These are Western weapons. The troops are surviving. That's important, not just from a humanitarian perspective, right? But also important because these guys can then go fight somewhere else. You're not losing highly trained soldiers, which the Russians are losing, which is great. Yeah, exactly. Yufnox says probably mistook the tractors due to all the images of Russian tanks being towed by Ukrainian tractors. No, exactly. It's I'm trying to think with that. They oh yeah, the other thing is the Russians have been sharing the video that actually does show a couple Leopard tanks getting damaged, though. We don't think they're destroyed, they're damaged. The Russians keep showing it all week now, 4 days now. The Russians keep showing the same video. And they keep trying to scare people into thinking, oh my God, the Ukrainians are losing. They're not. Oh, Russian made it over. Look out, folks. They're not. Oops, where is this? I might as well make you a mod here just to make you mod. Oh, you are a mod here. No, you're not. Are you a mod here? I can't even tell. Maybe I've got to look at a comment from Roshin herself. Maybe it's not. Oh, there you are. Let me see. Sorry, looking here, see, although we usually have enough mods, but I'm trying to see. It's being, oh, you are a mod. Are you a mod already? I'm forgetting, Roshin. Maybe. Oh, I've got to do it. Hold on. /mod. Is that the way I do it? Yes. Username. I think, oh my God. Roshin, it's long. Are you a mod? I think you are a mod already. Maybe not. I'm lost. Roshin. Oh, okay. No sword. Oh. Nay Murphy. Oh my God, these names. His names. Okay, now you should have a sword, maybe, or did I screw it up? Roshan Onay Murphy. Roshan Onay. I think that's right. Now she's got a sword. There you go. Okay, excellent. We've been getting some trolls. It's interesting. We have been, I know, I'm learning. It's interesting with Twitch. It's very old school doing the the commands, but on Twitch, we have had trolls. Facebook, we had a bunch of trolls go on Facebook. You guys didn't notice because I see the Facebook comments when I'm doing my weekly show. I mean, the daily show during the week. I get to see all your comments in one place using StreamYard. You don't get to see them. There were a ton of Russian trolls on Facebook that came, and I was like slowly deleting them while I was talking. And fortunately, you guys can't see them, so they think they're gumming things up. But Facebook doesn't have a lot of people. But it was still very interesting. Well, let me see what we were saying here. Oh yeah. So the same video. What was good is the Russians kept showing the same video of some of the leopards that got stopped. The fact that they kept showing the same, like IRC, exactly. The fact that it kept showing the same video means they don't have any other video, which means that may be all that was destroyed. Now, or damaged, it's not even destroyed. The other thing is the experts say, expect that Ukrainian vehicles are going to get destroyed and Ukrainian soldiers are going to get killed. This is not new. This is not unexpected. We shouldn't keep sort of a Western mindset of war being our planes safely bombed from far away and none of our troops ever die. Not none, but we don't lose that many troops because we're not on the ground fighting. Boom, boom, boom. This is different. There will be damage, and we shouldn't take it as a sign that somehow this proves that Ukraine isn't doing well. Honestly, that's all I've got for the update. Yeah, that's all I've got for the update. I was going to say, I mean, we'll keep talking with questions and things. One thing to keep in mind is if you guys have that Amazon Prime thing, you can connect Amazon. If you have Amazon Prime anyway, you can use it to become a subscriber on Twitch as well, which also gives me some income. I forgot, some of you guys have the links. I don't know if any of you have the links to put up how to do it, but a number of you guys have done it. And I set it up so that also makes you a VIP member of our Discord if you become a subscriber here. It should, okay, you set up the Amazon thing. You tell Amazon to give it to my show, Aravosis in this case. Then you go into your settings on Twitch and you find the setting for Amazon on Twitch and say, link my Amazon account to Twitch. So actually, you may have to do that first. Maybe I think you do that first, actually. You say, link my Amazon account to Twitch. Then you give the Amazon credit to me. You say, yes, give it to this account. And then you go and link Discord to Twitch. So you go into your Twitch settings and you find the Discord thing and say, yes, I have a Discord account. And then when you do that, it should automatically throw you as a VIP on Discord. In addition to being your other VIP status, if you've got it, if you have the other VIP, on Discord, you can still do this anyway and give me extra money. If you don't, you can do this and be a VIP. I mean, that gives you access to our Saturday morning stuff. We just did it actually for an hour with Vlad, which was really interesting. This was our most substantive one yet with Vlad, just talking about the counteroffensive, the flooding, saving animals, people, etc. And it's only for the paid subscribers, and it gives you access to our VIP auction as well. So you saw TikTok but couldn't find anything. Has anyone heard about a group of Polish partisan fighters? Yes, that have gone to fight in Russia. Yes, and see, Belra just did it. Okay, clearly you know what you're doing because you did it that quickly. It took me a little bit of time to do my own Amazon account. It took me a little bit of time to figure it out. Register for Prime Gaming to use the free Prime sub. That's, yeah. I sort of figured it out because you guys gave me the links the first time. But that's interesting. Thank you, Belra. Or is Belra or Bera? Hang on. Oh, Bera. It's like Bera, not Belra. Without my glasses, you become Belra instead of Bera. Luna, you need to go in your settings on Twitch and link your Discord account. Have you done that? Let me know, because I also want to dog this kind of stuff to make sure it's working. But in Twitch, you've got to see something that says Discord. Your Discord is linked. Well, let me go look on what the hell. I mean, because we're a smaller crowd, so I can do this here. Oh, you have access to the auctions. Oh, you know what? Hang on. It's possible. Okay, it's possible I didn't add the Discord to it because it's very complicated, but each thing on Discord, each section, we've got to add new permissions for you guys, and it drives me nuts. But it makes sense, though, because there's some sections for everybody, some not. So it's possible I didn't add the Discord. Hang on. I'm just going to look while we're talking to you guys. I may not have added the Discord people, the weekly. Hang on. I'm going to look, guys. Excuse me, but since we're such a small group, we sort of do more of this here. All right. Discord. Discord's T. Oh, I don't think I've got Discord. I don't have Discord people added here. Sorry. Hang on. My mistake. Yep, I think you're right. We know you're right, but I'm seeing what I did. Yeah. This may have been set up before we added the Discord, folks, and I wasn't even paying attention. So hang on. Here we go. Discord, view channel, connect. You don't need video. You do need to, hang on, send messages, embed links, attach files. Okay. All right. Oh, hang on. Oh, wrong one. Here we go. Sorry. Farmer with tractor. Okay. View channel, connect, send messages. And then I like to have you beep, 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 external stickers, read message history, command line, but you don't need it, but sure. Hang on. I'm just adding the Discord, folks. So next time I'm just adding the 3 categories. Bayraktar. Give me a second, guys. See, that's why this stuff is helpful, because otherwise I don't even know this is happening. Oops. Okay. View channel, connect. Here we go. Send message. There we go. Boop, ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. All right. Read message history. Important. Command. And then the final one is Wolverine. Same thing. Send messages. Okay. This in principle. Now, actually, if you couldn't even access the section, I'd be curious for you to go over and try to access it now and see if you have access. Twitch is free, or my thing on Twitch is free. So you're able to access this anyway. Do you need to register for Prime? Oh, in terms of setting up Prime Gaming, yeah, people can tell you how to do Prime Gaming. Yeah, there was a link that I had to sign up for, I remember that. It was a specific. Now, actually, I think I went into my Twitch settings and looked for Amazon, and it literally offered. It came up and showed me the Prime thing and said join Prime Gaming, and I said yes, and it worked. Pretty sure. It was pretty easy. I remember. You don't want the daily is Aravosis Report Daily. You don't want to link on that one. You want to link on this one. The Aravosis Report Daily isn't an affiliate, so I wouldn't get the money. This one, just Aravosis, is the one you want. Discord settings, connected accounts. Oh, that's interesting, Aqualimus. I didn't realize that. Hang on, I'm going to copy that. I didn't realize that you only. So the Discord link is from Discord. You don't do it from Twitch itself. Okay, that I did not realize. Thank you for that. I'm copying this down so I've got that. Okay. Did not realize that. Okay. TikTok isn't working yet. TikTok, there's a known problem that you can't, you're supposed to be able to connect TikTok with Discord at least, and it's not working. A number of us have been having this problem, and we finally contacted somebody who's reporting it. Oh, dog wants a little water. One moment. All right, you. 1 second. 1 second. All right. There you go. All right. But yeah, TikTok is currently not working in terms of passing the TikTok subscriber permissions over to Discord, and it's not working for anybody. I know TikTok broken. Big surprise. Exactly. Very annoying. Very annoying. Whereas Discord, like they said, Discord with Twitch, so you go into your Discord settings. At the bottom, you click the little gear link for your personal settings. It opens, and then I think, like you said, it says connections or something. You click connections, and it. Well, I can even. Anyway, you click connections, and it. You look through the links, and you figure out which of the icons means Twitch, and then you click it and sync it. Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, Polish partisans. Yeah. So the Polish partisans. There was a report this week that some former Polish military or whatever joined the Russian insurrectionists that were invading Belgorod in Russia. That little territory of Russia to the northeast of Ukraine. Supposedly there were some Poles helping them, which is pretty wild. But that's what we heard, at least. Sasha, that's enough for now. Come on, come here. That's enough. Come here. She overdrinks water. She has since she was a puppy. But thank you, Malayathos. Yeah. So if she whines again, I'll give her a little bit more. I try to make her because she's not supposed to. I mean, she drinks what she has to, but she overdrinks. Anyway, all right. Yeah. So that's what I was saying about the Polish partisans. But yeah, that was the end of my update. So if you guys have questions and stuff, we can do questions, or we can hang a little bit and then go. But it's funny. There was a lot of news this week, but not really, because part of the problem is we don't know what's going on in a way. We only know so much about what's going on with the counteroffensive because they don't have troops embedded. So, beep, beep, beep. Oops. All right. The comments stopped. There we go. All right. Anyway, anything else, kiddos, or not? I'm game to end early, but just want to see if you guys have any questions or anything. But yeah, we had a really good chat with Vlad this morning. That was fun. Yep. I'm not even seeing comments come up. Oh, there we are. There we are. In cities? Well, I mean, the most important city right now, the first, okay, I say first. What I mean is the really important major city for Ukraine to go after at some point is going to be Melitopol. That's going to be big. Mariupol, because it's a big FU to Putin. Melitopol, because it's the train tracks. These are the train tracks where everything goes through from the east in Russia all the way down into Crimea. So you're cutting off train goods and troops going to Kherson, going to Crimea. If you cut this off, there's also a train going across here. I'm not sure how well that's been repaired. That's the one that was broken last fall. I will fix the map. I know. I've got the problem is I've got to pull the whole thing apart, although I can. The whole thing finally stretched. Well, you have to see the back. It is quite pulled in terms of how I have the map. The map is a hodgepodge in the back. That's why it's hard to. But we love this map, so I don't want to I don't want to undo it, but I have to pull this together. I need some bigger clips too. It finally, I think, stretched enough over the last year or so. Oops, probably more being reported. I'm already forgetting more of what. I know the poor shirt. Well, I do like this shirt, but I have to finally buy one for me to wear because I do like the shirt, but I don't wear it obviously because it's just too much trouble to pull off the, to pull off its hinge, so to speak. Oh, here we go. Let's try this. I do need to get some. I keep meaning to order bigger clips. These clips are okay, but they're like one size too small. It's pretty good. Pack a bag. Oh, anyway. Sorry, what else do we do? Yeah, I know. You got me talking on the map. That's okay. I do need to do the map anyway. People weren't asking questions anyway. So what else, folks? Anything while I fix this? I feel like I'm doing macrame or something. Ukrainians being trained in Sweden. Oh, that's good. Didn't know about that. It'll be a siege rather than an assist. Cut off supply lines and just wait. Zaporizhzhia is going to be interesting. I mean, because the Russians are clearly trying to make it so that Ukraine is afraid to take back the plant, right? But I mean, I don't know. A part of me is just like, fuck the Russians. If they want to blow up the plant, let them try. I mean, because it's going to be, if they blow up a nuclear plant, and I think that's going to be one of those, that may very well be one of those red lines. I mean, for the West, I would hope, blowing up the nuclear plant, but who knows? All right, this is pretty good, I think. I'm trying to, here we go. I think the map, well, maybe I feel like I'm doing the, what's her face? The facelift lady on Doctor Who. There we go. Facelift lady. There we go. Nice and little bit of wrinkle, but nice and tight. That's good. Nice and taut, I should say. There we go. All right. Ready for the next show. Excellent. I'll do a quick little recap of what we talked about. Sure. I'm very annoyed at the West response to the dam. Do you think it makes Russia more likely to use nuclear plant as a terrorist attack? I mean, it is. The problem with the dam is the West doesn't want to get caught. All right, here's what's going on. People are still a little worried that Ukraine did it. It's, I think, 10 to 15% worry that Ukraine did it and 85% worry that Russia did it. But because all this information is coming out about the Nord Stream pipeline, about the assassinations and everything else, I'm just telling you my gut knowing politics, because I'm doing the same thing. I'm hedging just a little bit in how I describe this because there's 10 to 15% of me that wonders if Ukraine did it. And that's what's going on with the governments and everything else. They're criticizing it, but they're a little bit worried that you make, this is a crime against humanity. This is and then you find out Ukraine did it, and you just got done accused. I mean, so they don't want to be in that position. They don't want to be in that position, and that's why they're hedging their bets still. That's why they're hedging their bets. Oh, thank you, Fnos. I appreciate that. Thank you. Aid has to go through occupied areas. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. That's a very good point, actually. Yeah. The question is so far, I'll guarantee you that the search and rescue that we're helping finance for animals and people, it's got to be happening north of the river, because south of the river is the Russians, although south of the river is flooded, but it's too dangerous. So they've got to be rescuing the north. In the south has got to be the Russians rescuing, and the Russians couldn't give a damn. I just read something yesterday that the Russian, basically there were volunteers from Russia coming to help people, and they turned the volunteers away. Yeah, the U.S. reported on the explosion when it broke. Yeah. No, but nonetheless, the concern is Ukraine's very good at this. Ukraine, by the way, clearly has Russians on its side that it's using to do attacks in Russia. I guarantee you that's what's going on with the West. That's why the West is being just an itty little bit careful with this, with casting blame and everything else. And people are getting mad at them on Twitter and everything else, stop hedging, but I understand why they're hedging. It's, I mean, I mean, my God. I don't think Ukraine did it, but they had targeted assassinations in Russia that it looks like the Ukrainians did Mossad style. That's really good. And the whole Nord Stream thing is getting kind of interesting now. You know, that's anyway, you get it. You get what I'm saying. I don't want to keep talking about it, but you get what I'm saying. So that's what's up. Yeah. Anyway, but again, there's more and more evidence, and it didn't hurt the fact that that Russian soldier talked about his own uh, sabotage group going and blowing up the bridge. Russians are trying to kill rescuers and civilians. Yep. There's some video showing of them bombing right nearby where all the rescuers are. It's sick. It's absolutely sick. Yeah, they're just. I mean, mind you, they're bombing up. No, actually, and again, their reason. First of all, it does injure more people, which causes more, but it also kills the rescuers. They would be happy to kill. There's troops there. The troops are fair game, but the troops are conducting search and rescue. If you kill the troops conducting search and rescue doesn't happen, which means now you need even more troops to do it. So it hurts Ukraine's war effort. And right, it makes it impossible to get outside aid. There's no way for them to get outside aid. Forget that. Because I guarantee you, this bombing that's happening is got to be north of the river. So it's the Ukraine, or they would say west of the river, but north is the more logical way of looking at it. Killing rescuers is a war crime. Yeah, but I forgot the number now. I think it's well over 1,000, the number of healthcare facilities the Russians have bombed since the war started. I mean, you're right. It is a war crime, but Biden's trepidation makes sense. In what way? In what way? Oh, you mean trepidation about Ukraine? Maybe. I don't know. I'd have to think about the specifics. I don't think it makes sense because even though Ukraine was willing to do some wild stuff, that doesn't mean why you wouldn't give them the tanks and everything else they need to win. Bingo. Yep. Actually, I sort of forgot about that too. Right. Left is left versus the flow of the river. So if the river's flowing this way, it's to the left is the left bank. Hey, thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. The subscription with Prime. Yeah. Yep. That's why it kind of drives me nuts when people say left bank and right bank because you're going, which way does the river flow, right? To me, the irony is that down here, people keep saying West Bank and East Bank, and I'm like, no, North Bank and South Bank. And they said, yeah, but it's more, but what do you do if it's over here? If it's over here, you say East Bank and West Bank. Not very hard. I was telling some expert that the other day. I was like, East Bank and West Bank, you just change the definition based on where it is, It's easier. Most of the Russian forces are on the left side. They are on the left side. Yeah. The Ukrainians forced the Russians out of north of the river a couple months ago. I don't know. I shouldn't say a couple, maybe 3-4 months ago, maybe. I'm trying to remember exactly. But they forced the Russians out of the north. Russia was up to, they included the town of Kherson, maybe up to like here or so. And all of this area is now free. So, yeah. That is correct. But the Russians are still south of the river. Correct. My dog is still walking around. I may have to take her out. It is a beautiful day today. 80 degrees. Wow. Beautiful day. Anyway, anything else, guys? Otherwise, maybe I'll just do the summary and we can go. Unless people got more questions. Why don't I do the summary? Oh, looks like Zelensky confirmed the counteroffensive during his visit to Canada. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Oh, he's in Canada. I thought Trudeau was in Ukraine. Is he in Canada or is Trudeau in Ukraine? I wasn't sure. I saw Trudeau mentioned, but I thought maybe he went to Ukraine. Did Zelensky go to Canada? You know what? I'll do the summary anyway. Somebody mentioned where Zelensky is. So we talked about it's day 471. Trudeau is in Ukraine. That's what I thought. Okay, that's what I thought. That's okay. Day 471 of Putin's 3-day special military operation. The big news of the week: counteroffensive and the dam breach. The dam breached at 2:55 a.m. Ukraine time on Tuesday, January 6th. It was later that evening, like Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, I think. Actually, no. It was Wednesday night that the counteroffensive, we would say, officially started from our perspective, although it may have started earlier. New York Times interviewed engineers and others who said It was most likely caused by a deliberate explosion set inside the dam. Russian government previously, a week before, had banned investigations of accidents at dams, which was in the area, which was interesting. Norwegian seismometers picked up a signal consistent with an explosion at the time the dam disintegrated. U.S. satellites visually picked up an explosion right before the dam crumbled. Ukraine released an audio of a Russian soldier telling someone by phone that it was a Russian sabotage group that blew up the dam. The aftermath, Russians are shooting at survivors. Dead Russian soldiers have been found, which is interesting. Water is low for the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, but generally is not considered a problem, at least for several months. An impact on the counteroffensive, the thinking is the Ukrainians probably weren't going to attack over the flood area anyway because it was too dangerous. But this certainly is a problem for Zelensky and the military because now they're spending a lot of time and effort and manpower doing search and rescue rather than focusing on the counteroffensive. Then we get the counteroffensive starting Wednesday night or so. Multiple fronts. I mentioned 3 areas: Bakhmut, Velika Novosilka, and Orikhiv. Basically, up here, here, and maybe here are sort of 3 big areas the Ukrainians are attacking. They may still be probing attacks and not all-out attacks, meaning the Ukrainians are attacking just to kind of test the waters, see whether there's any weak links in the Russians' defenses, but not necessarily go for a full attack yet. The Ukrainians did lose a few Leopard tanks and some Bradley fighting vehicles, but the Russians are also lying a lot about what was lost. They shared video showing Ukrainian tanks that were blown up, and in fact, they were a tractor and 2 farm combines. So you can't really trust the Russians either. But we should not be surprised that the Ukrainians will be losing a significant number of men and equipment because that's what happens in this kind of a war, and we should expect it, even if they win. Also, good news, it appears from some of the videos that Ukrainian crews are surviving the attacks. Typically, Russian crews get killed when their tanks get attacked like this. 50% of the time, the Russian crews are dead. In the videos the Russians are showing to brag about the tanks being damaged, at least, you can see Ukrainian troops walking away, which is good news humanitarian perspective, but also good because they can live to fight another day. You don't lose all the training and everything you did with these guys. And I was going to say, I didn't mention earlier, the last little point, there are indications today maybe of more good news. We still have to see, but it looks like around Bakhmut, the Ukrainians are gaining more land back from the north and the south. Sort of the suburbs of Bakhmut, north and south. And I'm thinking the area down here, I think that was Orikhiv, which is right in the middle of this is really pushing into Russia's major defensives. There were reports today from Russians, true or not, who knows, that Ukraine was pouring in the troops and equipment into that area, that they may be going for a bigger push in that area. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. Whether it really is a major push or whether the Ukrainians are doing it as a fake, we don't know, meaning put some more troops and weapons to freak out the Russians. So now the Russians bring lots of reinforcements and you're actually going to attack somewhere else. Who knows? There you go. That's it for the summary. And yeah, the hopefully recover and repair the weapons if it's still in Ukrainian territory. That would be great as well. But as I said, some of the you have not linked yet correctly. I shouldn't say if you've linked. Emberg, you will see a crown, I think, if you've linked Prime. Yes. You see the people who have the thank you, or Aqualimus. You see the people who have the crown next to their name. That's because they linked it. Now, yeah, you didn't yet. Yeah, you get the crown if you linked it right. Make sure that you linked it to my Aravosis show and not Aravosis Report Daily. This is the Aravosis show. The Aravosis Report Daily does not have the status. I'm not allowed to do paid subscribers on that. Other than that, not sure how to, although people here can probably help you if you want to try. Before I sign off, if you want to try one more time. Through gaming. Okay, yeah, check again. Worst comes to worst, we can try next week. But yeah, you do it through gaming and you just make sure you pick Aravosis Report. And you'll see the little star. Sasha is currently at the front door. It was easier to link on the computer. Oh, that's interesting. She's currently at the front door trying to find the neighbors. I've got to be careful because I'm supposed to go out with friends this afternoon and I don't want to piss her off. So I may have to just take her downstairs for a few minutes just to kind of make her happy. I had to sub on my PC browser using Prime on another channel. Didn't work with your mobile. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay. No, I appreciate that, Emberg. Exactly. Yeah. Well, see if you try to do it on your PC if you can. Maybe that's easier. If you're on your phone, I don't know. But it worked for me. I'm not super Twitch adept, but I was surprised it actually worked. For the Prime Twitch sub, for the Prime Twitch sub, you will hang on. You get access to anything that's VIP. So the VIP section, the chat on Saturdays, you'll be in the $5 and up subscribers. I would give it a name like, like they did in school, the squirrels and the pandas, but you'll be in the $5 and up section. Present with a number equals how many donated subs to other users. Okay. But yeah, you'd have access to anything that says VIP. So you'd get the VIP auction section. You get the VIP area, though not a lot happens there. And you see weekly $5 and up. I don't think I can actually take a picture and share it. I don't think so. Can I? Let's see. No, it doesn't let me share pictures here, does it? Didn't realize Twitch doesn't do. They would allow that. It's fun, actually. We do a good. It's a good. It was actually the VIP thing was great today with Vlad. We had an hour of Vlad. Yeah, perfect. Then it means it's working for you. Yeah, yep. Then it's working, so that's good. I got a normal sub and got the crown. I use my Prime for another channel, but you also get the. Oh, I see. You get the crown if you did a normal sub. That's interesting. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, Vlad was really interesting today. I just thought it was an interesting. It was an interesting chat across the board. That was sort of our. I mean, Vlad comes every Saturday, or in principle every Saturday. Vlad comes, my friend in Ukraine, but we had a real very in depth talk today, which was interesting. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's good. It's very good. All right, guys, I'm going to go because we've got only a couple minutes left anyway. I'm going to take the dog down. Oh, you want to go inside? Okay. She wants to go sit in the sun. That works too. It's cute. I've got a little couch I inherited from some neighbors, and pretty much she uses it. It's out of the. You can see it's sunny out. It's she likes to just sit there on the couch. So 20 times a day she makes me open the door. She sits in the sun. 10 minutes later she gets too hot. She comes back in. It's back and forth and back and forth. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. This was good today. Thank you. Sorry. Someone's last little things. You get a crown regardless of registering on Prime. Damn it, use the free sub. I think you have to use a web browser. Interesting. Okay, maybe. Yeah. Try it on the web, Emberg. Maybe that'll work for you. Yeah. All right, guys. I will see you. Otherwise, I'm back Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, US, on the usual channels and the usual Aravosis Report Daily because it's the daily one. All right. Okay. See you guys. Thanks for joining. Enjoy the weekend. Okay. Help article, even better.